What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Glass Note podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Wilbur, founder of the Coaches site. We've got a big show today. Last week, I was down in Minneapolis for the Minnesota Hockey Directors Conference. It was a great event, brought together hockey directors and hockey folks from across the state to learn new ideas when it comes to player development, how to more efficiently run their minor hockey association, or youth hockey association, as I was often corrected. And as part of the festivities, we invited Dean Evason, the head coach of the Minnesota Wild, out to do a live recording of the Glass Note podcast, which you're about to hear. And Dean shared a ton of great insights when it came to how him and his staff are preparing for their training camp, the upcoming season, and just overall how they function together as a group. So hope you enjoy this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the show. Welcome, Dean. All right. So rumor has it you were in Rome this summer.
Yes, my wife's a flight attendant, so we have an opportunity to fly very inexpensively. So we took a trip to Rome and went there for 5 days. It was absolutely fantastic. If anyone's ever been there, it's amazing. But the interesting part of that is with flying on passes, you fly standby. So you're at the beck and call of how many people are there, and if the flight loads are full, which they were when we ended up coming back. My wife, being a flight attendant, has a better status than I do. I ended up getting stuck there for 3 days after she did.
Not a bad place to get stuck.
Not a terrible place, right? Not a terrible place. So fortunately, the airport in Rome is 10 minutes from the beach, and also fortunately, there's a golf course 10 minutes from the beach and the airport. So I was able to kind of do a little bit of both, but I'd have to go to the airport every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, try to get on till noon. If I didn't get on at noon, I booked an Airbnb and just hung out at the beach, or, as you said, at the golf course.
Well, okay, so now everybody feels sorry for you.
Yeah, right.
So I'm curious. So over the course of an 82-game season, coaches got to be really good storytellers to kind of mix up their message. So, when you're over there in Rome touring the Colosseum, taking in all that history, do you bring any of that back with you to kind of share that with your players? Like, are you going to summon your inner Russell Crowe and provide some gladiator-esque speeches this year?
Russell Crowe was actually there when we were there.
Come on.
Yeah, he was filming a thing at the Colosseum with his kids. I didn't see him. We tried to find him. But to your point, and for you guys, it's the message 100% has to be fresh, and you have to put some thought into it. We just had a summit up in Brainerd with our Iowa coaches and our Minnesota Wild coaches, and we're trying. The purpose was, 1, to play golf, 2, to have some nice dinners and on the team, but 3, get on the same page systematically and meeting wise. And so we went through a presentation. Each one of our coaches presented, but if we talked about our pre-scout and our pre-scout video / meeting before games, and a lot of coaches will do, especially at our level, almost the exact same thing, exact same structure. Like, you go over there, controlled forecheck, their controlled breakout, their neutral zone forechecks, blah, 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 all the way, and it's kind of a checklist. The players get tired of hearing it. Like, there's only so many systems you can play. Most teams play, say, for example, in the neutral zone, a 2-1-2 off of face-off losses. 2 guys are going, the D are getting up, the center's locking the center. So if we go with 10 games and we say, Detroit's playing 2-1-2, they're like, no shit, right? Yeah. It's like, it's going to be, so we do try to vary our meetings up. We'll do stuff like different presentations. Sometimes we won't even show a video. Sometimes it'll just be our analytic breakdown. We'll just talk. Sometimes I've actually went in and did an old school chalk talk. I've brought in a chalkboard and actually did chalk. Just something different to make them, keep it fresh. Yeah. Sometimes we'll bring in line combinations. Like, we'll bring in Hartman, Kirill, and Zuccarello, and we'll just do a quick chat in the video room of, who they're going to play against, what their tendencies are, how we feel they can, especially at home, obviously match up against somebody. So the players like that, and I think it's important that you don't forget, especially in my case, that what you liked and what you didn't like as a player, and try to implement that as a coach and in your philosophy.
So, I'm curious. So amongst that sort of different delivery, is the goal still to have, the language and philosophy that you deploy with the Wild, the big club, the same as what they do in the American Leagues? I look at everybody in this audience, and, they're overseeing, groups of coaches, and, you can imagine little Johnny, like last year, his coach was like, we're a puck possession team. We carry the puck in over the blue line. And then, this year his next coach is like, no, we're going to dump and chase and bang and crash. And
Right.
you got a poor kid that's trying to make heads or tails. Like, how important is that alignment?
It's what a great question, because we literally went through that. And I'm not telling any secrets unless somebody's going to call the Colorado Avalanche, but we have two systems in the neutral zone. We play a lock system, which is a 1-3-1. A lot of teams call it left wing lock or left or right wing lock. We call it left side lock, or we have a trap system in the neutral zone. Last year, the Iowa Wild did not implement our lock system. They only played the trap.
Yeah.
And the reason was they've got different people coming in, and Tim Army, the head coach, didn't feel that they could grasp it. We called up Beckman and Dewar early in the year, two kids that had good years down there. Dewar will be with us. Anyway, we're in the lock, and we're in Colorado, and McKinnon comes flying through the middle of the ice, and they have no idea what they're doing. Just goes in and scores on the breakaway, and they come back to the bench, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, anyway, they go, we don't play the lock down there. So they had no idea. Even though we showed them a video prior to the game, when they get called up, we show them our systematic stuff. The thought process, the idea is to not have them have to worry about our system.
Yeah.
Is that they've got so much other crap to worry about. So to answer your question as far as association, I think there should be a standard, or how you technically want to play. How you want systematically, how you want to forecheck. I think your entire organization has to do that. Now, a head coach has to have the ability to tweak within that. Where when I coached in Milwaukee for years, I was under Barry Trotz and Peter Laviolette. I took their systems, and the guts of their system we played.
Yeah.
There was little tweaks like. With the defenseman, with Nashville, with Peter Laviolette, the defenseman didn't squeeze. And what that means is when it's a 2-on-2 and the guy's going wide, they just held the dots and just kind of went back and didn't put. Whereas in Milwaukee, I wanted them to be super aggressive, especially in the American Hockey League where the players aren't as skilled as the NHL guys. We want to put as much heat as we can on that player. So I told Peter, or asked Peter, I didn't tell Peter. I could tell him now, though.
Yeah.
But I asked him if, would that be okay? He says, yeah, you guys be aggressive. We'll just make sure that when they do get called up, they'll know not to go. So you have to have that, and why we went up to Brainerd is one of the reasons was to get us all on the same page as an organization.
Got it. Well, back to the McKinnon goal. You might have to circle 27 on Colorado and chalk on the chalkboard next year.
Well, I might have to go to old school and just have somebody follow them around.
Yeah. Coaches ask me all the time how they can get more accomplished during their practice. My answer, Huddle. Here's why. Because the more you can teach and educate off the ice, the more progress you can make on the ice. Huddle is the leading video and data solution for ice hockey in the world. Huddle delivers simple yet powerful video review tools with desktop and mobile apps, enabling entire teams to review, study, and share video anywhere and at any time. Plus, with Huddle Assist, you can quickly get access to a full suite of game stats along with your film breakdown, so you can analyze both your team's and individual player performance, ensuring you provide objective feedback. Right now, listeners of the Glassnote podcast can get a great discount on Huddle products. To learn more, check out huddle.com/the coaches site for details on this exclusive offer. That's HUDL.com/the coaches site. So, you're entering your third full season with the Wild. It's interesting. Since we've been here for 48 hours, I mean, just the conversations we have, there seems to be a ton of enthusiasm. Yeah. I think everybody can sense that the organization is building towards being a Stanley Cup contender. How do you build on that momentum going into year 3?
Completely agree with you, and I got goosebumps just you asking that question, because I love our team. I absolutely love our team, and I'm not going to lie to you. Every season I go into as a coach, I don't love our team. Yeah. I really do love our team. Listen, are we a few pieces away? Do we feel that we need a couple of players? Everybody knows our cap situation with Parise and Suter being gone, and they're still on our books and all that kind of stuff. But the group that we have, how we play the game, and not being arrogant, but our coaching staff and what we've done to the attitude of our group, and that comes down from Billy Guerin when he came in. His attitude is just frickin' win and compete your ass off and give ourselves an opportunity to win. But we have fun too. Like, we play a game that isn't, yes, we want to play defensive hockey, but we give our players the freedom to play offense, to score goals. We ask our defensemen to get in. And it doesn't matter if it's Jared Spurgeon or Brodeen Dumba, our offensive-minded guys, or if it's Middleton and Merrill. We ask them to get in the play. Get in the play. Get aggressive. Score goals. And I think that's translated to the fans as an exciting hockey club that plays their balls off every single night and gives ourselves a chance to win, but they also have a lot of fun. I think if you see some of the stuff that our off-ice people have done, as far as some of the creative stuff they've done to make it exciting and interesting, to get to know the guys' personalities, because I think that's important too. Totally. I think it's important for the fans to see that Kirill Kaprizov has a tremendous sense of humor, and to get that out there, so that they can not only see him be obviously a great player, but a funny guy, and he's obviously a tremendous teammate as well.
So let's dig into the offensive part of the game. So just in preparation for this, I was surprised. You guys finished 5th in the league last year in goals for, and outside of Kirill, you don't necessarily have.
And our power play sucked, by the way.
Did it? Okay, I didn't get it. All right, okay. We got some. Now we know what we got to work on in camp.
No, it's better.
Is it going
to I hate saying guarantee, but I'm pretty sure it'll be better.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, so let's start with Kirill. So, 2 years in, it appears he's figured out the North American game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's all coaching.
Yeah, okay. So with a kid like that, so everybody has a kid in their association, that grows up, he's the best player, and the easiest way to coach the best player is to open up the gate, go do your thing, score a goal, come back. How do you challenge a player like that? What's he working on to get better?
Well, first, there's not a lot of things, honestly, that we've had to do with Kirill. Yeah. And I've told this story. We started the year the year before, we went through a stretch where we weren't having success, and I don't know how many games we'd lost in a row. And Billy Guerin came to me, or actually called me after the game, and he says, Kirill's agent called me and he's coming to meet with you in the morning. So I'm like, okay, we just had lost, I don't know, 7, 8 in a row, whatever it was. So I get in there early in the morning, I get prepared, his ice time, and where I'm starting him in the offense, and I'm thinking that he's going to be all over me as far as, I need to play more and blah, blah, blah. And he came in and he literally sat down and he says, what can I do to help us get out of this, to win? Not the agent or the kid. Kirill came to me, and this is before Kirill was Kirill last year. He said, I just want to know what I can do. What can I do differently? Nothing about ice time, nothing about, who he's playing with, nothing about his power play, where he's set up, anything like that. Just what can I do? So he is a very special person, special gifted hockey player, obviously, but to have that gift, compete his butt off like he does, but to be a teammate like he is special. Now, I've had guys that aren't that.
Yeah.
They aren't that guy. They do come in and they say, you know, what the frig am I playing with so-and-so for? Or,
Sure.
why am I not on the power play? And we've had some guys like that.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to do and our coaching staff has tried to do is show them team stuff.
Yeah.
Show them, and we do that a lot with the group too, is show them what a good teammate is. And it could be something as simple as, when I was talking about the videos, something as simple as a guy scores a hat trick. You don't show the guy scoring the hat trick.
Yeah.
You show his teammate who gets the puck out of the net and brings it back to the trainer for the hat trick. Or you show the guy that scores this beautiful goal, and instead of showing the beautiful goal, you show him pointing at the guy who made the pass, so that it allowed him to score the beautiful goal. You show a goaltender who a guy blocks a shot, and a lot of goalies, as you guys will all know, a puck goes in and the defenseman's trying to block a shot and it goes in, he can't see it, and he puts his gloves up. That is not a good team.
Yeah.
A good teammate situation. But if you show the goaltender tapping a defenseman on the butt as he skates by, thank you for blocking a shot, that shows team. So that was part of our changing our culture here in Minnesota, changing our mindset to team first mentality. And we've got a group now that does that.
I think that's cool, because that's stuff that anybody in this room can do with their teams. That's totally accessible. That's awesome.
But it is easy to throw your best player out there as much as you can.
Yeah.
And of course you want to do that because he's going to give you an opportunity to score. So on that point, we just talked about our 6-on-5. We had one of the most successful seasons and years as far as pulling our goaltender.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we did was we allowed two groups to play. We made sure that first group, Kirill, Zuccarello, Fiala at the time, Spurgeon Broad, whoever was on it, knew that they aren't staying out there for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we have a mentality, our analytics guy that you're going to ask about, Matt Sells, gives us the numbers that when to pull, when not to pull. But they know that after a minute and a half, they're going to get off, and they're coming off, even if it's an offense. And a lot of times our so-called second unit scored the goal. And if you have guys, your number one unit or your leadership group buying into that mentality, then you're going to have a good team.
When you're coming in, when you're driving in here today, training camp kicks off, this week. What's top of mind for you?
Preparation. I think for you guys and for us as coaching staff, just be prepared. Don't wing it on the last day or the second last day. We literally have every single game of preseason. We have 7 preseasons. We have it charted out and a mock team of every single game. We have every practice plan done for the first 2 weeks. We have all our videos prepared already, and we're a couple of weeks away. Yeah. And we still have rookie camp to be in the office and go through, but now we can tweak stuff. So even when you're in your meetings and stuff, if you're prepared, your meeting will be tight. And we use that word a lot, just be tight. Like our videos are tight, our practice plans are tight, our meetings are tight. And if you're prepared, you won't be nervous, for one, because you know what the hell you're doing, and it's an easier presentation, and it's a sell or whatever, and you feel much better about your whatever it is that you're about to present.
What boxes do you need to check by the end of training camp? I mean, there's a whole host of things, but what are like the top 2 or 3 that you got to get?
Well, first obviously is conditioning. You and I chatted about it earlier that these players don't come in out of shape.
Yeah.
And I started my NHL career is 1980. My first game was 83. I skated with my buddies back home, for a couple of weeks before I got to camp, and my groins were so busted up 3 days into camp I could hardly move. My back was messed up.
Sounds like a Tuesday for me.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. They're in phenomenal shape. So, but they're not in game shape.
Yeah.
So you have to, and you can't go too quick, right? You can't go like that first day. We can't go stops and starts. There's a lot of flow. We're still getting our work, but we progress into getting them into game shape. That's the first thing. The second is building that team chemistry. And although our group is virtually the same, we're going to have, I'd say maybe four new faces, 4 or 5 new faces within our hockey club. You want to build that chemistry. So we will have, we're doing a team retreat, we call it, in Iowa at a golf course, of course.
Nice. Sensing a theme here.
Yeah, golf and a little bit of fun, and allow the guys, and like not to get drunk or anything, but allow them to have social time
without
together,
without
totally. Anything, without being in a hockey atmosphere, just being in this atmosphere. And I actually try to do 4 of those through the season. I do one at the start of the year, and then we'll do a curling or a wiffle ball, or we might go to the Saints Stadium and play a little mock ball game or something like that. We're going to go up, do some dog sledding at one point when we go to Calgary, just to get away from hockey. I think a lot of times we get so hockey focused, and I know in minor hockey too, it's like you got to play hockey every single bloody day.
Yeah.
Even through the summer. You don't. I don't believe you do. Anyway, you can still do hockey related stuff, but other activities and other sports. Yeah. So there's those are the 2 things that we want to see accomplished. And I guess the other one would be to kind of figure out who has chemistry with each other, especially some new guys. We lost a guy, Kevin Fiala, who 80 some points, 30 some goals. We're going to have to try to piece that together with probably 4 or 5 guys, but we're a line to do that. We may have a guy coming in at some point here, but to help. But we got to see who's going to fit with Matt Boldy. Matt Boldy's had a tremendous year last year. We've got to see if we can find a chemistry with, like I said, probably 4 guys to make a line out of that.
Got it. So you talk about rest. So it's interesting. So tomorrow, I'm going to my first Vikings game. So I was doing some research into the team prior to that, and it was interesting. You were saying you were texting with Kevin O'Connell, the new coach, this morning. So I read an article that it said that he prioritized rest during his first training camp. Shockingly, his players said it was really well received.
Right.
But you mentioned that because I think this happens in today's minor hockey. Like you can get caught in that trap of like more.
Yeah.
Like let's just get a week ice in July. And pretty soon we're playing hockey 365.
Yeah.
How do you think about rest with your players, and what sort of signals do you look for in terms of when to push and when to pull back a little bit?
Well, you all know Marcus Foligno, right? So after a win, we do a post-game chat, and at the end he'll yell, "Rest is a weapon," meaning the fucking day's off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
So I say yes most of the time. But we do rest a lot.
Yeah.
We do. And actually, Kevin, I just met him this year. I was telling you, Kevin O'Connell came into our room, brought his staff into our room, which, man, there's some big boys. Yeah, big staff, but big men. Yeah. And anyway, we're going to try to get out there too as well. And he likes what we're doing as an organization. I'm really looking forward to watching his interviews because he seems like somebody that really gets it. Totally. Really gets it. And as you said, so we do rest a lot. We really do, but it's a daily thing, trying to monitor. We have a strength and fitness guy that gets us all the numbers. They wear heart monitors in practice. We can tell when their fatigue drops down. He'll bring it to me and say, okay, practice today was pretty hard. Let's knock it off for tomorrow and stuff like that. So we're fortunate at our level, obviously, to have the technology to do that. But I think as coaches, in whatever level that you're at. You can see when your team's dragging. You can see when they're down, and you can see in practice when they're sucking wind. Just knock a drill out. Do something that maybe develops more skill and not as much stress on the bodies and what have you. And a lot of times we'll do the same thing. We'll be halfway through practice and assistant coach will come over to me and say, geez, we look a little tired.
Yeah.
And I'll go over to Jared Spurgeon and said, how do you feel? And do you think we should knock a couple drills out, or we had enough? And you got to trust your group to translate that. They're the ones in the arena, and you got to build a relationship with not only your captains, but other people as well to give you that feedback. But the rest to workload ratio, you've got to monitor on a daily basis.
No, that's great advice. If we had a couple of your players up here and we said, what details does this coach preach on a regular basis, what would they tell us?
Well, I hope that they would, and I'm pretty sure that they know that the first priority is team first. Yeah. I cannot and I will not live with somebody being an individual player. And the one thing, and for you guys and whatever level, but I don't care how old they are, do it face to face and do it one-on-one. Yeah. Don't embarrass them. Like a lot of coaches will be like, I'm going to call this guy out. I'll call guys out. Yeah. But it'll be first like this. Yeah. And then I'll give them a chance. And then it'll be eye to eye. I'll give you a chance. If you don't do it, then I'm going to call you out. It'll never be in the media, but it'll be in front of your peers, and it'll suck. Yeah. Believe me, it will suck. So I think that I'm fair, hard, I hope they say, and fair, and straight up. I'm always going to be straight up with them. Even you go to the guy that's sitting out, and instead of saying, well, you played really good, tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. That you listen, the reason that you're not playing center ice tonight is 4 guys are playing better than you. Yeah. And you have to show us in practice or when you get in there in a game that you warrant to play better than these 4 guys. They can live with that.
Just direct.
They can live with that, yeah. Right? I had a coach, everybody knows Bob Gainey. I played 2 years in Dallas for Bob Gainey, and there was no bull. It was like, this is how it is, fair, but if you don't like it, then you can come in. And I tell my players all the time, you can come in and you can mother F me all you want, right? Yeah. Right, but do it to my face. Don't do it to your teammate, at the end of the bench or in the corner in the locker room. Bring it to me. So structural details, the one thing that I think and that I would like to share is that stick on puck. Yeah. Systematically, like there's all kinds of systems. Whatever system you play, obviously I want it to be tight and detailed. But the one thing that I think minor hockey and just going to junior hockey where I coached and then the American hockey, guys don't go stick on puck enough. Yeah. Like if you get your stick on the puck, we all preach finishing your checks and whatever level you're at and hitting hard and all that kind of stuff. Well, you can hit a guy. If the puck is gone past you to the front of the net, what's the point of that hit? Yeah. Like, unless you're going to really hurt him. But dislodge, we call it dislodge, because our guys, they like different wordage too. I think if you can find different word, we started using dislodge, and then they were all jacked about using the word dislodge, right? Matt Dunn was on the... You got to listen to that though, right? And a guy goes in the corner and he dislodges, and I hear Matt Dunn down there, great dislodge! Like, so eventually I said, would you shut the heck up? But it's fun, right? The guys, and it's okay to make, not fun, but it's okay to have fun with the coach too, right? And so they loved having that word. But I honestly believe and that's one thing that we talk about constantly in not even our D zone coverage, in the neutral zone and in the offensive zone. You go in on a forecheck, why in the world would you want to smash a guy through the glass and have the puck go past you?
Yeah.
It's great you get that hit. It's wonderful. We get a wonderful hit, but the puck's gone. Yeah. So if you can keep the puck in there where now we can get an offensive chance and finish your check, then we've got something. So that is one thing that that our staff talks about a lot.
No, that's a great, and it's amazing. It amazes me. It's one thing that came out of COVID, because I don't know if it was like in the States, but in Canada we had a ton of like hockey games replayed from like the 80s and 70s, and you're like, oh my God, has the game changed? Because nobody was stick on puck. They were all straight lines.
You just run around chickens with your head cut off.
Totally. Yeah. You mentioned Matt Sales. I don't know if anybody knows this. So there's a young guy that works for the Wild, Matt Sales. He's a lawyer by trade, incredibly bright. We got a mutual pal, but he's kind of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to numbers. But coaches today, and I think it runs right down to minor hockey. Like, you're inundated with information, whether it's analytics, whether you go on Instagram, you see a new drill, or and in one hand it's great, on the other hand I think it's overwhelming. How do you kind of sift through that and navigate it so you get a clear message across?
Well, as you mentioned, Matt Sells is absolutely fantastic because he dummies it down for hockey coaches.
Yeah.
Because you do not want to have like all these numbers. It's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. Like this guy's got percentage of this and that, and it's like, end of the day, well, what do you mean by all of that, right? And he will bring it into us. We use his analytics for everything, for pre-scouting teams to breaking down our guys after games, as far as possession with the puck. How many percentage of breakout passes are they making? Are they carrying it? Are they passing it out? Are they dumping it out? And he'll break it down to a point where he'll go, okay, Brodeen, last night didn't have a great game. He only passed it out twice, or he carried it out once, or whatever. Let's keep an eye on it. So that now we track the next couple of games, and if it continues, now we touch the player up. Now we'll go into him and say, okay, listen, this is happening. You got to start. I mentioned Ryan Hartman. How many bad penalties are you taking? Are you only, because you can take a couple bad penalties, because it's okay sometimes to take a couple of freebies here and there, because you got to keep people on edge. But if it starts getting to the point where it's hurting the hockey club, now, okay, it's time for us to have a meeting with Hartsey and talk to him about that kind of stuff. So I've always been, the philosophy is you gather as much information and as much from the people around you as you can, and then try to make the most intelligent decision possible. And you guys would probably have small staffs if you're head coaches, or if you're an assistant coach, you're probably one or two. But if you're a head coach, one of the things that I would suggest, and I think is extremely important, going back to the team first mentality, is that you give your coaching staff voices. That you aren't the one running the practice every single time, and you aren't the one that does every single meeting. If you're preaching team and team first, and then I'm going in there and I'm the only one that talks, and it's me and it's my show, and I blow the whistle, but I do the meetings and I do the video, and it's Dean. They get tired of it too. So all our coaches have a responsibility. The players know that. In between periods, I rarely will speak. I do the pre stuff a lot of the times, the pre-speeches, the motivational stuff. But in between our tactical stuff and our adjustments, we will divvy it up, and I'll say, Bob Woods, you're going in. As we talk about it, okay, we need to correct our neutral zone, we need to correct this. We're not dumping the puck, or we don't have to dump, whatever it is, he takes it into the group. Next night, next period, Brett McLean does it, then Darby Hendrickson does it. Post-game speeches. And everybody likes to go in after a win, because it feels good, right? And it's great. You feel like, shit, I did this, right? I go in there. It was all me. We let our video coach go in sometimes, Jonas awesome. Plum and Taylor Jindra, and go in and give the post-game speech and they feel part of it. And now you have a really tight coaching team. Your team sees that you have a coaching team, and then they hopefully in turn will buy in as well.
I think that last bit about the post, that's cool. That's awesome. Hey, Jacob, we got time for 2 more here? I know we're good? Okay.
I got all day, man.
Do you? Well, you got a barbecue tonight.
Well, all day. I
Oh,
don't got all night.
Okay.
I got to be home. My wife will kill me.
Yeah, we'll get you home on time. So, you have this, I think, again, overall, really positive year last year. But there's always those, one thing I've come to learn in the work we do with NHL coaches, it's less about how you react in the good times. It's more about what you do when things aren't going your way. You had a couple extended losing streaks last year. And I would argue that, and I know we've got a lot of hockey, we have a lot of people in the room that have coached minor hockey. I think coaching minor hockey is more challenging than it's ever been. Like when you're getting your rear end handed to you and you got to do that walk through the lobby with all the parents.
Yeah.
It's rough. So like, how do you?
I was a coaching parent.
Were you one of those parents?
I eyeballed the coach too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Like, how do you? Any tricks on like just staying positive when things aren't going down? Because I mean, obviously everybody's looking at you and how you're going to react.
Yeah, I have through my mom, and a lot of people do, but one day at a time. One day at a time, one game at a time. There's no sense looking back. We learn from what we've done and hopefully got better and to go forward. But you got to get prepared for the next game, the next day. Now, having said that, I think that's helped us in some situations where we don't dwell on the streaks and whatever. We've been able to hold them down a little bit, but we lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's bitter. There's one team that wins, right?
Yeah.
So you got to remember that, but that is our goal to get there. Now, one of the reasons we thought, after sitting down and analyzing everything, is that we didn't do a good enough job through the regular season of making our group accountable and being a little harder on our group in those situations where you lose 2 in a row. Well, no, we can't lose.
That's
3.
interesting.
Now there's a balance, right? I mean, you all, I'm sure know John Wooden, famous basketball coach in college, and he never talked about winning, and it was just, competing and see where you sit at the end of the day. Sure, that's one thing. At our level, and I still have that philosophy, still, respect your opponent and all of that stuff and going forward. But end of the day, at our level, we got to win. And it's my job as the head coach to instill that in our group. And listen, if we don't, it's not end of the freaking world.
Yeah.
But you got to make it seem like it's getting there.
It's a
right?
fire burn, yeah.
So we need to do that with our group. We have tremendous people in our group. I'm sure a lot of you know that we need to get a little more snarl in our group, and ultimately. That's what we're doing, right? We can have a great regular season, and you still have to, obviously, to get to the playoffs, but our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. That's it. And it's my job and our staff to instill this in the group.
That's great. How many people in the audience have heard of Flin Flon, Manitoba? A few? Okay. So it's interesting, when I come down here and I hear people talk about War Road and the hockey program there. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. My mind, like, oh, that's like, what Flin Flon is in Canada to hockey in the U.S. And so that's the birthplace of Dean. And so, I look at you're born in Flin Flon, you grow up in Thompson, Manitoba, which is, way the heck up there. Probably, if you were to look in Canada, comparing it to Minnesota, it's very similar, kind of the environment you grow up, very community-based, a lot of the same values with hockey. Can you maybe just, as we wrap up, just maybe touch on the impact your minor hockey experience had on you, and just maybe what you've come to appreciate about the hockey environment here in Minnesota?
Well, first off, I'm a very proud Canadian. I've lived in the United States literally most of my adult life. So I love the USA too until like U.S. and Canada playing the World Junior and stuff. Then I don't like the
Should
U.S.
have been here last night.
Olympics. No. So I'm very proud Canadian, but I love America. And Minnesota is as close to Canada, honestly, that I've ever, and I've lived a lot of places in the United States, as you can get. The mentality, down to earth, work ethic, grit. I don't have to look any further than Darby Hendrickson, who's on our staff. Salt of the earth, man. Just family first, team first. Just I'm sure he wants to be a Canadian. He tells us all the time, but he is a fantastic. So first off, that's it. So in relation to Canadian hockey and Minnesota hockey, yeah, it's extremely similar. I've been to, Brett McLean's got a couple kids in Edina, and I've been to their games, and the passion and how it's conducted here is exactly like Canada, like Canada. And small town, Flin Flon, and when I lived in Thompson, when I lived there, that's another 5-6 hours north of Flin Flon, but there's nothing to do except play hockey, right? I mean, that's what we did. There was no road north when I lived there. There was only one road. You got to fly to Churchill or Dog Sled or whatever it was, but there was only one road out, and it was south down to Winnipeg eventually. So, but absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Had the opportunity to obviously hone whatever skill I had later in my hockey career by playing on the outdoor rinks, by just playing hockey, by playing lacrosse in the summer, by just being a kid, but just having fun, but playing hockey. And I think that's what you see here on the lakes. The hockey on the lakes and outdoor hockey, and we are unfortunate to not win our game here, but it was such a great experience, except it was so freaking cold. It was, oh my God. I said it's the most wonderful, the most awful, amazing experience I've ever had, because it was so cold on the bench. It was ridiculous, but what a setting, and it was so exciting. And unfortunately we didn't play to the best of our ability in that night, but it was a lot of fun. So I love living here. I love the Twin Cities, the state, and the people are fantastic.
All right, well, I know everybody's got to get back to more breakouts. We'll be back here tonight, but yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks, Dean. That was awesome.
The Glass and Out podcast is a The Coaches Site production.